YouTube, what is going on? Gino Bonino here, and I want to say thank you for checking out my video. Decided to make a video just because I found something today and I am so ultra excited about it. I wanted to share it with you guys. It is not a comic book, but it is comic book related. So I'm going to put you in a little state of what is he talking about. So bear with me for a few minutes while I do show you some books, and then I'm going to cut and show you the thing I found today. Again, ultra excited, way more excited than if I would have found a comic book, and again, it'll make sense in about 5 minutes, so bear with me. First thing I'm going to do is show you some recent pickups over the last week. I guess we could call it a haul, back issue haul. Most of these are going to be keys. Some of them I got at my comic shop, some of them I got online, on eBay, whatever, but I'm going to explain it. First book I want to show you is a spec book. And the reason I bring this book up is because if you find it, you might want to get it, and I'll explain. There's a lot of what ifs and maybe kindas, but if this happens to hit, I have a feeling this is going to be a real hot book, and here's why. Rumor is they're going to bring, obviously they're shooting another Black Panther 2, and apparently Killmonger's going to make another appearance, and I don't think it's going to be just a like when he was alive appearance. I think he's going to become alive, and if they do that and they follow the comics, they will bring him up back from the dead. Obviously, that's comic books 101. If you have something that makes money, person doesn't, or the superhero or whatever doesn't stay dead, and apparently Killmonger was such a iconic villain that they're going to bring him back. If they do that, this book has a lot to do with that. The person who brings him back to life, and I can't think of her name right now, I should have looked this up. If you can think of it, please put it down in the comments. Anyway, her first appearance is in this book, Jungle Action 18. She doesn't actually bring him back to life here, but this is her first appearance. So my guess is if they follow the comic plot line, this will be a very important book just for that reason. And again, I'm not sure. There is a lot of what ifs. They might bring him back through either, if they're dealing with some kind of time, going back to, back to the past or back to the future, if you will. With some of the other characters, they may do the same thing with Killmonger, and that's a possibility. So this book, again, it's a bit of a spec, but that's why I bring it up. If you do see it cheap, it might be a good possible get to put in your spec box. Hard to say. Again, kind of one of those, sometimes the things that you stick your neck out the most are the things that pay the biggest dividends. So just thought I'd bring it out there. They're not super expensive. This one isn't in really good condition. I just got kind of a mid-grade copy just to have it. But anyway, yeah, Jungle Action 18. Thought I'd bring that up. Then, found this at my LCS, Spider-Man 72. Couldn't pass on this book, and the main reason is this is one of those black cover books, similar to issue 28. That's really hard to get without having a bunch of creases in the front. If I've ever seen those Marvel, the black cover books, often they would have little crease marks either through the, all the way through, and there is not a crease mark in this book. It's not a super high quality other than that, but the thing that impressed me is the fact that there is zero crease lines on the black. So again, just a real pretty book and just a very iconic shocker cover with onto the spider. What was it, Spidey Signal? I forgot. But anyway, thought I'd share. Next one, I know I saw Jim Comics talk about this, and I wanted a copy of it, but they were just insanely expensive on eBay. So I was going through some back issue boxes at my LCS, and sure enough, there was one there. It wasn't cheap, but it wasn't expensive, as crazy expensive as it is on eBay either. This is first appearance of Red Death, which apparently is going to be in the Flash and series. So for that reason, I decided to get this. Also, it's a real nice foil cover. So there's a variant, as you probably know, from the New York Comic Con, that's even nicer than this. But again, this is still a very cool cover. And Nobody's talked really about this book. I got a couple copies of it, and I've been very happy with it. This is Black Knight 4 from Zenescope Comics, and for obvious reasons, you can tell that it's just a killer cover. This is by Riviero and De La Cruz, where they have cover artists. There's a couple, I think there's four different covers for this book, and if you look at some of the other issues, they have a history of having really nice covers. Every bit as nice, if you ask me, as White Widow and stuff like that, and that got all the press. This got very little. In my opinion, just a sleeper book. And with the interest right now in Conan and swords and stuff like that, I just thought this was a cool book and one that I just thought I would share with you guys. So once again, Black Knight 4. I picked this up. This kind of goes along the lines of a spec book as well. Giant size Ms. Marvel #1. And the reason that I got this, rumor has it that the test audiences that have been seeing Ms. Marvel, or Captain Marvel, excuse me, very favorable reviews. It's gotten, people are saying that it's an excellent, excellent movie. And also the kind of the word on the street is that the cat, who you don't see too much in the trailers, they're kind of downplaying this. And a lot of times when they downplay something and then it pops in the movie, a lot of times the books are sleeper books, because unless you kind of have your ear to the ground, you don't hear about this stuff as much as you do with other things. But anyway, the point being, Chewie the cat. Now, it's not Chewie the cat in the movie. It's called Goose. And this is the first appearance of her cat. That's not really a cat. It's actually, again, if I don't want to spoil too much, but let's just say it's not a cat and leave it at that. Anyway, first appearances in this book. And not only that, if you're kind of not real familiar with Ms. Marvel, Captain Marvel, this is kind of a good catch-up book. This kind of reprints past stories, past costume changes, and explains the different iterations of Captain Marvel. And this is kind of a good primer to read before the movie. If you're wondering how come there's 6 different Captain Marvels and there's Photon and all this kind of stuff, this doesn't explain all that, because obviously some of that came a little later and some of that may be stuff that they don't even deal with in the movie. But this is still a good kind of a good book to read as far as getting caught up before you see the movie. That's just my opinion. Right now, this book's still a little bit under the radar. You should be able to, if you go check your shop out. If you used to be able to buy this in like the $2 bin, but then all of a sudden word got out that about the cat, this being first appearance. My gut feeling, honestly, is that this is going to blow up, this book. It'll probably be a huge spike and then a huge drop. Obviously, a first appearance of a cat isn't something that's going to have long-term legs, but nonetheless, when the movie hits, I have a feeling that this is going to blow up for a little bit. So, my recommendation, go check and see if you can find it. Don't overpay for it by any means, because again, it's not going to be a long-term thing, but I think it's going to blow up when the movie hits. Could be wrong. That's how spec works, you know that. But again, you never know. I found this in the dollar bin, my LCS. This is a very kind of a early Punisher, Spider-Man. And if you've been watching the Netflix series, this also has Jigsaw in it. So this is a early, not an early, but it has a Jigsaw appearance, and he's kind of a badass in this. He's the main villain. But anyway, couldn't believe I found this in the dollar bin. Just a real cool book. I mean, again, it's having Punisher and Nightcrawler and Spidey on it. It's just great. I also bought a Smurfs #1. No reason, just thought I would share. 3-book miniseries. They had all 3 of them. I just decided to get #1 just because I wanted to have it in my collection, just for the hell of it. Sometimes these weird little comic book or character books, are good holds, good just to have. Say, again, it's in your collection. Also, I was lucky to find 854 Detective Comics. This is supposed to be Alice, who's her twin. She's apparently going to be the big baddie in the TV series when it comes out. And if that's the case, this is her first appearance. So again, I found this. I was surprised that it wasn't already pulled. A lot of times when they announce that the book is hot and it makes key issue comics, it gets pulled right away. But I found this one in the back bins. Also, while I was there, I was digging through and I really found, I mean, these are some really outstanding covers. I decided to get 857 simply on the cover alone. It's again, these are really a lot going on. Reminds me a little bit of Jenny Friesen's art, just with the other stuff going on and whatnot. So again, I just really like these. Is it Friesen? But anyway. Then I picked up a couple X books just today. Got this 244 X-Men, which is First Jubilee. I didn't have this in my collection. I've always seen them, and they're always overpriced. This one wasn't, so I decided to pick it up. And along those same lines, they had 256, which is First Psylocke, as a kind of a first iteration of her, which is this character here. Obviously, her costume and stuff has changed somewhat, but this was her first appearance. So I decided to get that again. Both of these books I didn't have in my collection, so I decided to grab them. And last but not least, this is now where my story gets good. I went to a thrift shop today. It's called Junkie Monkey. And I went there specifically to look for comic books. And looked around. This is one of those places where they kind of rent spaces for people that sell antiques and stuff like that, junk and whatnot, and thrift goods and things of that nature. And they had 0 comic books, so I was kind of bummed. And just for the heck of it, before I left, I said to the person that worked there, I said, "Do you have any comic books?" And he went behind the counter and pulled out about half a dozen. 5 of them were just complete know-nothing books, like stuff you'd find in the dollar bin. But this one, they didn't know what they had. They didn't know this was first Miles Morales book. They had this basically titled with a little sticky on it, "Spider-Man No More." So I think they thought this was Death of Spider-Man. So for that reason, and they thought that's all the book had going for it. So they had a really outstanding price on it. Couldn't pass it up. Ended up buying it. And again, I was psyched. I have a copy of this. I know I showed one that I had graded. I went ahead and actually flipped that when the movie was out. And then I kind of bought a couple raw copies to make up for that. And that's what I'm sitting on now. I have one and then this one. But while I was there, I went into a different section of the store where they had furniture and stuff like that, and ran into the thing I'm going to show you next. So hang on. I'll be right back. All right, guys, this is what I found. And why is this cool? I looked at it and I said, magazine rack, no big deal. Kind of a big pain in the butt. But I was looking at these things, these little individual things, and I said, you know what? Those looked like they would fit a slab perfectly. So I came home and got out my box of slabs, or some of them, and I'll show you what it looks like. If you want to display just comic books, it works perfectly for that. Make this a little smaller. Don't think I can. It takes 3 or 4, and it displays them really nicely. No fear of them falling, because there's this thing right here that catches it. And they can't, and they simply can't fall between the metal grates, just because they're close enough that there's just no way it can do it. So let's back up a little bit. Let me show you that. I think, sorry about the glare. Anyway, that's kind of what it looks like with raw books. And again, you can imagine there's room for 6 there, 6 there, 6 there, 6 there. So you can put 18 books on here. You could probably put 4 quite easily on a section without worrying about them falling. You could do something like this. If they're raw books, yeah, 4 work actually really nice. 4 work better than 3, because what happens when you put 4 books, if they're raw books like this, is they cover up all, once again, sorry about the glare, guys. They cover up all the wire, so they just look like a solid, a solid display of books. This. All right, so you kind of get the idea. Now, obviously the glare is sucking, because no matter what I do, one of them is going to be kind of leaning into the light, and that's just the way it goes. But you kind of get the idea of what it looks like. But now when it really shines is, hang on one sec, I'll be right back. All right, guys, check it out. Have you ever, let me get some of this glare out, man. It's bumming me out. That's not helping at all. Check it out. I mean, a spinner rack is cool. I get it, and I'm still looking for a spinner rack, but if this is definitely a nice second place thing to display your slabs or your raw books. Easy to change out. And when I saw it, I could kind of, you know how you kind of get an idea of size based on, just knowing what stuff looks like. I said to myself, damn, I think that will hold slabs very nicely. And it does. And even if you want to put more, I mean, right now I've got 18 slabs on it. But even if you wanted to double some stuff up, it's got like 2 rows. You can easily do that. Check that out. Isn't that cool? Anyway, I was so excited about it. And when I got it home and started putting stuff on it, I was just really psyched how it looked. Talk about a cool little display to put in the corner of your room or something like that in your man cave, and that's exactly where it's going. I'm in the process of redoing my, they call it a frog, finished room above garage here in the south, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. Is I'm redoing it, and this is going to be kind of the cornerstone of my comics area. And again, I'm obviously, and let me say this as a public service announcement, keep these out of the sun. Really, you should keep them out of the light. I know some people talk about putting them on a scanner and scan the cover and display that. And I think I'm all about that. And the main reason being because scans can do anything you want to them. Scans can get just as nasty as they can be. But, when comic books fade, that's a one-shot deal. So anyway, that's it. So that's what I wanted to share, guys. I hope you like it. Let me know down in the comments, and I will talk to you later, guys. This is Gino Bonino. I am out, and happy hunting. Bye for now.